Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon, and today we're going to be talking about how we got Grandmaster on mid lane playing only solo queue with a 61.7% win rate. You can see the stats here, very, very high gold per minute, you can see because of all the mages that I play, which you can see here, again, 993 gold per minute on Syndra and 1005 on Orianna. So we're really going to go into an Orianna gameplay and kind of explain to you guys, really, again, the mage play style, go over the game and just talk about what we learned from climbing this quickly and this fast. Okay, so getting right into this Orianna game. So if you want to know that it was a good game, all you got to do is look at the champ select where my teammates were flaming each other, super mad and arguing, and then locked in Twitch jungle and Senna support. Always really, really fun when people get angry and lock in weird stuff like this. I mean, I don't mind, you know, like you can play Twitch jungle. It's viable, even though I think it's bad. And Senna support, again, viable, even though I don't think it's very good. So that's fine. The funny part is just how much the people were getting angry at each other, and so it was definitely you know, not the best sign to start. But regardless of what happens in the champ select, or regardless of how toxic your teammates or how much they flame, ultimately that's really not important to focus on. Just gotta focus on, again, playing consistently well, which is what we focus on here. And so the first couple of things we see from the lane phase is that every time that he is walking up for a last hit, I'm doing my best to punish it, and then I'm making sure that my ball is in a place where it's hard for him to walk up. So my ball was all the way to the right as he was all the way to the left, so instead of using it on him, I just first ability'd back to the middle of the wave so that I could hit him with my first ability on the next minion auto attack that he went for. So using the ball in lane like that in order to get a lot of poke on him is important. Here I shield myself to walk up at him, and then I get some poke on him. All we're really trying to do here is poke him out as he walks up for last hits while getting the last hits ourselves. So because he used his ability there, for example, I'm going to make sure that I walk up as he goes for the last hit and just get some poke onto him, get my shield onto him, get some autos, and I'm basically just sneaking in as much poke as I can, largely through, again, just making sure that if he walks up for a last hit that I do punish him, and then I just have some fun watching my level 2 Twitch nearly get solo killed by the Caitlyn top lane, because, you know, who doesn't enjoy that every now and again. So I was, again, kind of hesitant on whether or not this game was going to go super well. I really don't like Twitch jungle. It's one of the things I'm definitely not happy to have on my team, but like I said, it is what it is. You can't control it, and the Twitch jungle goes back for a second gank and gets a kill there, so I mean, like, we'll take it. But if we're looking back at our own lane here, again, because we did poke him out, he wants to recall pretty quickly, and then we know that we have mana boots here, so I'm just going to take the first recall. So again, early on in the lane, main thing that I've really done in all of these mid lane games, punish whenever the enemy walk up for last hits, slowly push it, and then once we hit our mana boots at about, you know, 900 extra gold in our pocket, we're going to start thinking about recalling and finding a recall angle when we can by pushing the wave and then recalling afterwards, which is exactly what we did there. I don't need prio early on as an Orianna or a Syndra. Like, both of these champions, again, I'm mostly just trying to get the enemy poked out enough that they can't roam. I don't want to roam. I don't like roaming as an Orianna. It's bad. As a Syndra, it's also bad. All I'm trying to do is make sure that he's not high enough health that he'll lose, you know, if he goes and rotates, or at least have the wave in a way where he will lose minions if he does go and rotate, or have it pushing so I can get turret plates as he rotates. Basically, just as long as I make his rotation difficult to execute due to his low health, and I have a way to punish it in some way, shape, or form by making him lose, you know, minions or lose turret plates or something, then I'm happy with the early game. And it's nothing really more complicated than that when it comes to the early game on these champions in the mid lane, and again has led to me having quite a nice win rate on Syndra. The Orianna win rate was only 54.5. I played only 22 games of her. I feel like for whatever reason, all my Orianna games this season were really unlucky, or not all of them, but a lot of them. Whereas like last season, we had like 100 plus games with like a 64% win rate on her or something like that. Obviously getting the Sovereign, getting to rank 1 with it. So sometimes, you know, you play certain amount of games of a champion, you just have some bad luck, some, you know, unfortunate things, make a few mistakes, whatever. But at this point, again, I think that he might have rotated or he might have recalled. And so if he rotated, then I wanted to push so that he loses turret plates. If he recalled and then wanted to come back to lane, I wanted to push so I can roam. So you can see I'm not never roaming. It's just not going to be something I do a lot. But on this roam, again, because we had the wave pushed, I was fine with roaming. I throw my ball in a place that she can't flash to. And then we look for the Vladimir afterwards, and I believe we do find the ultimate on him, and he dies in our Nasus, gets a double kill. So this roam overall, again, the only reason I actually roamed was because I already had the lane pushed, and I knew that Vladimir would either lose that mid wave or he would have to respond to the mid wave, and I'd be first on the rotation. And because of that, we are successful in in terms of the result, leading to Nasus getting the double kill. And of course, that's very, very good for our team. As an Orianna, I'm happy to just scale up, get a couple assists, and go from there. Obviously, always nice. You can see again, the GPM over 1,000 on Ori in 22 games. Like, I am farming up a storm every game on these champions, making sure I get as much gold as possible. That's really my main concern. I always tell people, play around your champion strengths. Play what your champion, play the way your champion wants you to in the majority of situations, which again for Ori is just farm, farm, farm. If I'm playing Ahri, I'm maybe going to look for some more rotations. But with Orianna, you can see I'm just constantly poking this guy out with my ball too. Every time he walks up for anything, he is getting punished for it. I'm trying to make sure I could kind of find the Nunu if Nunu decides to gank, and I just poke him under turret really, really well. And he ends up getting solo killed by me. It's very rare that you're going to get solo killed by a Talon or Orianna. That's not my concern, as I kind of talked about with the champion strength. But if you do get solo killed by the Talon or Orianna, probably means you're a little bit silly, as Vladimir was there, just letting me poke him out pretty much for free and not walking back or really doing anything like that. Nunu comes here. I'm not too scared about a Nunu. I mean, she's not going to one-shot me from full health. So we just grab the fruit, we get that extra gold from it, and now I'm up 1,600 gold on the Vladimir thanks to that solo kill, thanks to the plates, and thanks to our earlier rotation. And so it's definitely a better early game than average for Ori. I'm very commonly going to get about 300 to 400 gold away from Ludens, or just get Ludens, roughly around that gold. But we're over 1,000 gold past Ludens, getting, the Lost Chapter, or getting the Infinity Orb, not the pendant. I don't know why I couldn't think of the name of it, the Prophet's Pendant. But here again, Vladimir just getting poked out every time he tries to walk up because of how far ahead we are at this point. And so if he does just walk into me or give me an easy angle to kill him, of course I'm gonna look for it. So I'm just basically hitting the turret, just waiting for him to walk up, trying to bait him in, and then he just lets me ultimate him for free, and we grab the kill. Teammate drops the Herald, we get a bunch of free gold. And again, at this point, when you do find yourself in such a strong position early on a champion like Orianna or Syndra, you have to understand that you're strong, but you're not that strong yet. Like, you have to hit your 2 items, especially your 3 items. When you hit the death cap especially, you're really, really strong. And so I'm still just sitting here just poking people. I'm not doing anything too complicated. I'm not looking for crazy plays. I just make sure the enemy are zoned off of pretty much whatever objective we're going for, or zoned off from the fight. And of course, if they're grouped, I'm looking for those 2-man ultimate, 3-man ultimates, and then just pretty much go from there. So again, here, pretty easy pick onto the Lucian. He's a pretty short-range champion, so he struggles against my poke. And as long as he's not able to dash directly on me, I'm pretty happy with that. And then again, we're hitting our Infinity Orb now at this point. So if you're able to hit Infinity Orb this early on and get this fed, you're going to start one-shotting people for the most part. So once I'm able to recall for that item, I'm going to be extremely happy to take a decent amount of fights and to do that type of thing. But again, you're kind of going to see this game can get pretty messy later on, and it's going to require a lot of kind of patience in the team fights. So when it comes to team fighting on Orianna, the main thing you need to understand is just your ball placement. Like, a lot of people will throw their first ability and then they'll ult right after, and they'll miss a lot of ultimates because of that. Because it's very slow when your first ability goes out to max range. And so people can very easily dodge it. Like, they're going to dodge the ultimate kind of wind up time. It is relatively long. Like, they will see it, they can flash it, they can just dash it, they can sometimes even walk out of it depending on how it's placed. But if you have the ball already in the ground, so like oftentimes something you're going to do in team fight, you're going to like first ability, second ability, poke someone. Now your ball is out, is zoning the enemy. They're going to be scared to walk up. They're probably going to walk a bit to the right of it, a bit to the left of it, as they try to approach your team in the team fight. And then when that happens, and also you can see the damage, we get her Bloodthirster out pretty easily there. But when that happens and they try to dodge it, you just move it slightly to the right, slightly to the left, and then you ult immediately. Because again, now that it's already out in the fight, it goes very quickly so that you're able to then just immediately ultimate. And then you also want to make sure you second ability before you end up going for the ultimate, because it slows them and then they can't walk out as well. And again, Caitlyn just walks up at me. Normally, I'm not looking for a lot of fights when I'm on the side lane like this, but because I'm so fed, if their ADC walks up at me like that and disrespects me, of course I'm going to look for the ultimate, as you saw there. But yeah, you're going to see some ultimates later on in this game that are pretty much game winning. Like, this is a game where, even though it looks really winning right now, some bad things go and happen, and it definitely would have been a loss if we didn't have some absolutely insane team fights. And so I want you to pay really close attention to the ball placement more than anything else in this fight. I've talked plenty of videos about my farm, about me getting gold, about all these things, and so I'm not going to focus on that heavily. but I am going to focus on the ball placement there. And so obviously in this fight, I do instantly first ability ultimate, I'll show you guys again. And the reason is just because people are CC'd and they're in a really easy spot for me to hit them, right? So of course I'm not saying you can never do that. If you're in a situation like that, then go for it, because it was just very obvious for me to be able to land that since someone's stunned and since there's so many people grouped. And so at certain times you are just going to have to throw the ultimate, and that's obviously where the difficulty comes in, is determining when it is okay and when it's still going to land, versus when the enemy are going to dash out. And so you keep track of things like a Lucian dash, for example, to know if they can get out, because Lucian dashed out of my ultimate there. Try to keep track of flashes when you can, you know, keeping track of these types of key spells that can get someone out of the ultimate as well. Also allows you to determine whether or not you need to use your ultimate, like first ability ultimate right away, or if you do need to wait until the ball's on the ground so that the enemy have less time to react. And again, just being patient with the ball in the fight. You don't want to immediately ult every fight. A lot of fights you're waiting for the ult to kind of you know, set up for you, and you're not looking for 4-man ults every game. Like 1-man ult is fine. You get a 1-man ult and you one-shot someone, that is a good thing to do. You get a 2-man ultimate and you're still extremely happy. And every once in a while you do find those giant you know, 9-man shockwaves that do win your team the game. So in this case, again, I am just able to get the solo kill there, right? Because I know Nunu has no way to walk out with her you know, flash or anything, because she has no other mobility, and so I can just first ability ultimate onto her. So once again, it is different per game, and in there I'm taking a solo ultimate just to get 1 kill, because that is obviously an extremely good outcome, is getting a kill like that. You know, we're very, very happy about that. And now at this point, the enemy are very low, they get poked out, and we're able to get the turret out of it. I don't click my second ability because I was trying the third ability right after for the shield. I would have killed that Lucian there, but I did not, unfortunately. But again, when you're so fed as well, you one-shot most people, so taking those 1-man ultimates is also really good. And then your first ability, second ability combo will half health any squishy champion when you're this fed. And again, you don't need to be 7-0-6 to be fed. Plenty of games I'm fed just from farming. Like I'm like 0-0-0, I'm 1-0-0, whatever, and I'm extremely fed. Here, I'm trying to tell my team, hey guys, they're gonna do the Baron. Hey guys, they're gonna do the Baron. Let's like stop them from doing the Baron, because it's not cool when people do Baron. Like that's not awesome. They don't listen. And so unfortunately, you know, not ideal, but we do end up getting the ultimate. Since Lucian dashed on us, we knew that we could kill him there. And then I know I'm probably not going to outsmite a Nunu, so I'm just like going to try. But I know this is probably not going to work. So I kind of have to, like, the reason I did that 1600 is I was trying to predict when she would Q. Because if I know when she Qs, then I can get it in between her Q and her smite. It's a very hard thing to do. Obviously against a Nunu, these types of things are difficult. But that is kind of the thought process there. And then here we almost get the solo kill on Thresh until he uses his weird grappling thing, the Magnetron enchant. But yeah, we tried to get our team to be aware of Baron. We didn't quite do it, but we were almost able to zone them off. If it wasn't the Nunu, I would have been able to steal. Like most junglers there, I'd be able to steal into, because you do over 800 with your smite. It's just obviously the Nunu specifically. That's just a champion that has too much stealing power for me to do much. So all we need to do now is stall out the Baron. And you can see this is kind of where the game is starting to swing really poorly. Teammates do some silly things. And we're kind of, you know, not in a good spot anymore. So at this point, again, we need to farm up. We need to not try to overforce. We're a mage. We're a pretty safe champion. Just try to poke out the enemy, not lose too much. And I can always carry fights later on. I just need to trust myself to play them well. And that's like another really big thing I think that helps me climb on mages, is just how much patience I have. A lot of people, they'll really freak out when something starts to go wrong. They won't trust in the fact that their champion can carry these fights later on, and they follow their teammates' silly decisions and kind of just, you know, they lose from there basically. So at this point, again, just looking for some poke on the enemy. My teammate does randomly die once again. All we're just doing is just poking out this Nunu, getting our ball placed here, and then this is where you can see that's kind of what I'm talking about with the ball placement. That's why we're able to get a double. I do die, but that's why we're able to get such a good ult there, is because the ball is already on the ground, and so it moves a lot faster, so I can grab a huge ultimate there. And the enemy were also walking into a choke point, so I knew they're going to be grouped up there. We get a huge ultimate, bunch of burst damage. Once again, you know, we still do die since I did not have my flash up. Otherwise would have gotten out, but either way, a double kill kind of stops the bleeding in terms of that Baron and everything. We do give away our shutdown, so it's not like insanely good, but that's kind of what I mean with the team fighting, and so I wanted to point that out. And you're going to see it again, you know, a couple more times throughout this game, at least one more in some of the fights. That's really the main thing, again, I want to focus on in this game. If you can learn things from this game, learn about the lane phase, punishing the last hits, making sure that you have prio and understanding that you want to make it hard for the enemy to rotate. And if they do rotate, that you punish them by, you know, freezing on them so they lose gold, or ideally getting turret plates out of it when you can. And then also learn again the ball placement and the ball usage on Orianna being really like the other main thing to focus on if you're watching this video. And so once again, we just kind of want to pay attention to that when we're going into the fights and whatnot. But for now, all I'm really trying to do is just poke the enemy out, because as any mage, Orianna, Syndra, Victor, whatever, you don't want to start fights on, you know, full health for both teams. You want to use your range and your poke to get the enemy lower health before the fight even starts. And that's what I've done. I've poked multiple of their squishy members out here. And again, notice I put my ball on the ground already. I'm waiting for them to walk into it. And then that's what happens. They walk into my ball, and look at that insane 3-man ultimate burst damage that I'm able to get. That's all due to the fact that I was able to get my ball out early, get the poke on the enemy, and then one-shot them at the end there, as we saw. And that leads to the fight. Again, it's not even that good of an outcome still. Like, it's 3 for 3 with me getting a 3-man ultimate, instantly killing 2 of their squishy champions. So you can just see how difficult this game is to carry, and how much it kind of requires in terms of team fighting. Like, this game wouldn't have been won. Again, I give you guys like a lot of tips on farming and whatever, and some of the things that are harder to teach are the fighting. Because fighting kind of just comes from playing the game and getting better at it. And these are the types of games that you guys would play, or at least a lot of you, obviously some of you would win as well. A lot of you guys would play this type of game. You would do what I say in terms of farming, in terms of punishing last hits. You'd get a lead, you'd get strong, and then you wouldn't be able to carry some of these fights just because of lack of patience in fights, lack of keeping track of spells, or again, just not using the ball properly. And those are the types of things that kind of make the difference between me sometimes being able to carry, or you guys not being able to carry despite having a lot of the similar habits built that I kind of speak about. And that's, again, just something that comes from playing the game a lot. But approaching those fights, trying to poke out the enemy really well, and then the ball usage definitely makes, or like keeping the ball out on the ground definitely made it easier. Ash, for whatever reason, starts Baron and dies, because, you know, why not start Baron and die? That's kind of like, you know, that's what's fun. It's trending nowadays. It's a new trend that everyone's trying to do. My teammates do luckily get the soul. I was more worried about stopping Baron, and because I was there, you know, we didn't lose the Baron. The enemy definitely would have just snuck Baron otherwise. And then once again here, we're able to get a 4-man ultimate, and that one, once again, like, we throw it out instantly this time because the enemy were just low enough, and we're grouped enough that I knew I could throw my ball out instantly. So once again, you see some fights I'm throwing out my ball and immediately ulting when it's applicable. In other fights, I'm throwing it out there, being patient, poking the enemy out, and then waiting for the perfect opportunity to actually land something. I try to get my team to end the game. They want to do Baron. I don't remember if we even end here or not, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we could have just ended the game here through bottom lane. But they just really wanted Baron, so they go for Baron. And then here I'm thinking, I say it on my stream, I say I'm going to wait for Lucian to dash. And then once Lucian dashes, I know I can ultimate kill him, because that's the one mobility that he has that makes me able to kill him. So I'm like, okay, let's wait for him to dash. Boom, he dashes, and that's why I ulted. So I was saying this literally directly on my stream. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Is just, okay, I need him to ult, and then, or I need him to dash. He dashes, and then we just one-shot him. Very, very simple. Everyone can keep track of spells like that, but actually having the patience and the awareness and the calmness to like do that, rather than, again, like, there's plenty of games where you'll be like blaming your teammates, you'll be mad or frustrated, and then you don't think about all these things, and then you're not able to carry otherwise winnable games. Obviously this game was like overall in a winning spot for a majority of it, despite my team throwing at certain points. And now at this point we're up 7k gold, we have soul, we have Baron, and so all I'm trying to do now is use the Baron to push bottom lane. And I believe this is where I do kind of make a mistake in terms of positioning. For now, I'm fine with what I'm doing. Obviously, this is okay. And we get the ultimate onto the Caitlyn. We catch them over the wall. So positioning over the wall meant they're not going to expect my ball. So that's kind of a good thing position-wise. You know, using the wall or using some type of vision as kind of cover so the enemy can't really react properly. But here I get greedy, despite my team not being in a position to really help me much here. And I try to get the turret, and then Lucian or Thresh does kill me here. He catches me with the Magnetron, and so we do end up dying, which obviously is not, you know, not very cool. We don't like dying. Dying's not fun. However, my team does have soul. All of the things we've done so far, kind of leading up to it, make it definitely possible for my team to carry. They start the Elder Dragon, and they're able to get it, since the enemy jungle was killed earlier by us. And so we're still in a fine enough spot. Nasus starts chasing people down. I believe he kills 1 or 2. Because he is Nasus, and, you know, Nasus is kind of busted, in my opinion. But yeah, it's still a pretty messy fight, honestly, here, and it could have definitely still been a loss. So it's not like I'm not without mistakes at times. That was, definitely not good to get caught by the Thresh there. Luckily, Twitch is just, he's twitching on him at this point. I think Twitch jungle sucks, but if you get Twitch jungle to 19.5 minutes into the game, it's probably going to be pretty useful. And he's able to do that. And he somehow kills that guy because Twitch late game does things like that. And then he ends the game. I think. Oh, right. I forgot about that part. He died to the Nexus, but we're able to ult the wave, and then we are able to let the minions finish it off for us. And from there, we can see we got S rating better than 97.6. At that point, I was master 27 marks because this isn't my final game to get GM, but obviously we showed you guys we ended up getting GM. 18, 2, and 9 with 74k damage. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.